Okay, so before I start, yes, it looks like really tough topic. It's actually very easy concept to understand. But I will start with that. So imagine you're working on your game for the last 1, 3, 5 years, let's say. You're very passionate about, you're releasing the game. And the game, for some reason, doesn't resonate with your players, which is leading to frustration from your side, is leading to they are very unhappy, going to competitors, your revenue is going down, and so on and so on. So there is very easy fix, which is basically surrounding your game around your players, which is user-centered design. By fulfilling their needs and hopes and desires, it's actually three stuff that's gonna happen. One is you gain more loyal players, which leads to players staying more in the game, spending more money in the game. And the second one is actually referring, which is word to mouth. Is the best marketing, right? I'm a huge collector, game collector. I have like thousands of games, board games, PC games, etc. But what I've noticed is like lots of my games that I bought are actually recommendation from my friends, which is awesome, right? So you know that this game is good because your friend is playing it, you want to spend time with your friends and play the game. The third thing, of course, is increase in money and monetization, which is success for you, and you put lots of back stuff to the game. So in today's market, by the way, it's not enough, to have a really awesome game. It's user-centric design is what is important as user experience, because you're going to be one step ahead. If you, again, concentrate all the efforts on the user needs, probably you're going to be more successful on the market compared to your competitors. So a few words about us. You see, unfortunately, this was the biggest mistake I did when I started my company. Never name your company with your family name. Seriously, guys. Now it's on the market is Indian cars, very cheap one, which are Punch.electric vision. Actually, electric vehicles. Ours is electric vision. So this was a very big mistake. But we are Punchev. We are a studio focusing only on UI UX experience, the full cycle of it. Our studio worked on 150 projects. We are based in Sofia, Bulgaria at the moment. We are very strong in cross-platforming projects, in user-centric design solutions, gamifications, and all sorts, not only the graphics of the interface, from planning and architecture to actually the smallest details in the UI. Few words about myself. Yes, this is me. Actually, I have over 22 years of experience. I was lucky or not lucky to start in my 80s, working in software world for Coro Corporation. I was the guy behind Coro X3, which is Coro 13. This was my ticket to go to the gaming world in MMO RPG company in Bulgaria. We started working for Fallout MMO back in the days, Project V13. This was stopped by Bethesda for some reason. And this was my ticket to go to EA Games as a UI director and lead, working for some of the Sims titles. At the moment, I'm more entrepreneurial. I have a few other companies. I'm doing new startups, which are not that game related. But I'm passionate UX and UI designer first. After, I'm going to pursue, this entrepreneurship. These are some of our clients and friends. We're very lucky to get projects for Netflix, and other big companies, franchise projects, because we learn a lot. We learn a lot from, the creatives and the storylines, and nowadays the games are really massive in content. So this is what makes your job tough, and that's why it's very important to go to this user-centric approach. What you see is actually one design index called the McKinsey Index, or MDI. So these guys, they concentrated on showing direct correlation between design decision, especially in UI and UX for applications and complex applications, which games, by the way, are that, and monetization. So how these decisions actually affects the monetization after that. So these guys, they interviewed like 300 CEOs on diversified companies, like very big ones to small ones. They looked at 2 million actually financial reports and 100,000 tasks directly related to these financial results. And what you see there is a spike, which the more design-oriented companies that are following the user-centric design actually is going to increase their revenue. So it's a study for, I think, it's 5-year span. So it's not like they did the fast job. I encourage you to visit their website. There is lots of studies there. So McKinsey, they do really amazing stuff. The second one is by Adobe. So Adobe, they do that every year, but in the last 10 years, what they try to see is how the best performers actually do with correlation with the design. So what is happening there? And they noticed that from the S&P index, 290% increase of everything like monetization to performance is in advantage of companies that get this concept into their heads, right? If it's basically compared to companies that are not that designed oriented. So 41% higher market share, 46 competitive advantage overall, 50% more loyal customers. And of course, 70 digital experiences beat competitors, which is obvious. So what we're gonna cover today, we're gonna talk about the fundamentals of user-centered design, the concept. We cannot, unfortunately, take in depth because it's really lots of stuff going there. But my goal is just to make you think, right? Just to embrace this concept. The second thing, I want to talk about how to talk with your players, actually, because this is something that's super important. Some strategies, I will show you examples from our work as well, and monetization through user-centered design. Again, examples and thoughts. So let's start with fundamentals. User-centered design is very self-explanatory, right? It's basically you put your user in the center of everything you built as application, as tech decisions, as features, and everything, right? So if you make your users happy, again, most likely to turn into loyal customers, your loyal users, loyal players, and go to spend money in your in-app purchase shop. So 4 main strategies or stages. Basically what we usually start with when we analyze that is a context of use. Context of use means that first thing we look at is the environment. So what is the environment that the game is played? I will give you an example with Pokemon Go, right? Everyone knows the game. It's an old game, relatively old game, but what they did actually was revolutionize putting the player, actually taking the player from their rooms to the streets, which was different concept and different problems they faced with that. So the environment is very important first. What the users rely on, because this leads to what the users rely on, and why. Here's the important question: why they use the game, why they use the application. So this data, if you collect this data, is leading to the second stage, which is the user requirements, or what the problems they faced with this, right? So you are going to the streets. Obviously, you have traffic. You need to be careful about what is happening. You're holding your phone, like scanning for water. You know this, and this is giving you like lots of thoughts how to surround your from the interface to the gameplay to be suitable for this. So user requirements is very, very, very important. And all of these data is giving you the most fun for me stage, which is basically the iteration stage, and fulfill their needs. Starting, implementing this, giving them the solutions, and look very carefully what they do, so the behavior. This is the evaluation. Talking with your users, evaluate what you have done, and don't think about this as a line. Think about this as a circular approach. So you do that in every stage. You go back, again, when you evaluate, you go back, you do run the whole thing, again, test, go back, and so on and so on. So the context of UCD is like OCD. I don't know why it sounds like that. But in gaming, so how you can apply this? So the first thing is reduced obstacle of fun. From my work, I can tell you like lots of games, because we're developers, you don't pay attention to this stuff. Lots of games, they have this issue with not addressing, clear instructions, easy instructions, easy controls. Basically, this is what is obstacles of fun. The purpose of the game is to be played. It's not to fight with menus. It's not to, to be frustrated of notifications and stuff like that. But this is also applicable for game design, level design, and everything. So reducing obstacles of fun is usually due to research and analysis, of course, which is, again, if you go back to the 4 stages, is leading to that. Enhanced player of participation or adaptive difficulty. So if we take the concept of how you challenge your users, this also can be taken as a user-centered approach. By our opinion, there is a sweet spot. It's actually on the edge of the game to not be super hard and super easy to be played, and also the user to be challenged. So this is what you need to find. They are challenged, but still they are not frustrated for the game being super hard. Of course, some games, they attack, the hardcore users. That's fine. But most of the games nowadays, and this is because, again, the Generation Z, the new flood of games, game project, people are not willing to spend too much time on a game if it's super frustrating for them. They usually jump to the competitor. So that's why adaptive difficulty, think about it as a stairs. We usually refer this as a stairs. So usually the approach is you increase the difficulty, you have a plateau, which means they need to adapt to the difficulty. Again, you increase the difficulty, you have a plateau, and you get from this point to this point slowly, not like this. So this is something that also needs to be taken in consideration. Intuitive user interface, of course, self-explanatory again, but it's hard to done. And storytelling narratives, these are the stuff that usually engage the players staying into the game and be, immersed into the game. The last one is very important because the last one is a social play. So making this teamwork experience in the game is proven to bring you more players and more loyal players. Again, friends and family, right? So these guys basically want, especially the new generation, they want to be communicating. And if you find a way through Discord groups, to in-game, multiplayer experiences and teamwork experiences, you're probably going to succeed more. So this is also super important for me. What you see, I will not, talk about these bullets there because you probably understand them very well, but I will talk about the picture on the right. I'm particularly proud with this one because this was an arcade cabinet that was built especially for us. I'm a huge fan of arcade games. We have 8,000 of those. But why I'm showing you this, because I'm from generation of the first Pong game, very old, but I saw everything, right? So from first Nintendos to the early gaming to nowadays games. And keep in mind that back in the days, the attention span of the users was enormous. So there was not that many games, right? You have few games that are released per year, and everyone was, playing the game 1 year because there was nothing else. Why this is important? Because the controls back in the days was very hard to get. So Mortal Kombat, you probably see, you saw this meme in the internet that was everyone was putting, on the napkin the fatalities, the combination for fatalities. So this was the gaming back in the days. And nowadays, this is gone. Flooded market, very short attention span. And if you have this mistake with not good onboarding in the game, not easy controls, clear instructions, most likely they're going to competitors because there are like tens of other games there on the market. So this is, oops, sorry. Let me see, yep. This one, this example from our work. So these guys, I don't like to say that this was a clone because for me this is not a clone game, but this is a game similar to Among Us. I think the guys from Goose Goose Duck did like really better job because the game is super fun. Gaggle Studios, very good friends of ours. So what I'm showing you, the first one, is the screen that was one of the screens from the onboarding. And they have like massive data for how the users actually are using the onboarding process. And they saw that like massive, how to say, like take off of users from getting into the game. We started analyzing, the data and everything like that. So what we did, this is one of our wireframes. We actually saw that they're super confused and they don't know where to look at on the screen. So this was massive problem. They don't know what to click on, how to navigate to this, like iconography there with the everything you see as information. So what we try to do is to divide basically the information into focal groups and info groups. So basically we divide them to be very clear in order to spot directly what you need to do in this particular screen. So gathering and talking with your players is most important than everything. Because again, developers, they forget that they create projects for the users. Usually developers, I'm a developer, so I know how this works, is we think that our decisions are very right. And when we face the real users and Generation Z, my favorites, and voila, something is wrong there. So there is lots of ways to talk with your users. You're familiar with them, but I will talk about pros and cons about each one of them. Keep in mind that there is a tons other ways, like Discord groups nowadays, and so on and so on. But you get the point. You need to talk with your users in every stage. So surveys are very good if you want to ask broad range of people, right? The problem with surveys, though, our success rate of surveys usually filled are like 30%, 30 to 40%, which means that there is lots of people that you're going to miss their opinion. But surveys needs to be addressed very shortly because also, again, attention span, nobody likes to fill a survey with 100 pages. So the importance here is to ask questions that are for broad audience, but also are very specific. And if you have, let's say, above 50% answers for something, means that you're in the right direction. Below 50% means that you're probably in the wrong direction. So surveys are good for these reasons. Focus groups, of course, this is the most important ones. So the problem with focus groups is vice versa. You have like 30 people, 50 people, 100 people, wherever, so small group, which is directly picked for your needs and your project. Biggest problem there is how to profile these guys, right? And most of the companies, they have problems with making their perfect user persona or profiling the particular focus group. Also problems with gather their opinions and so on and so on. But focus groups, if you do it right, it's your perfect way to understand about how your perfect buyers or players actually are using and what their needs are in the game. Gameplay data, crucial. Everyone has that, so I'm absolutely sure that you have. So proper analysis of gameplay data is absolutely crucial. All of us, as a UI designers, product designers, we use this backend data for taking decisions. So this is, if you don't have that, take time and build that. Play testing is super important because play testing is usually difference between what people say and what people do. So this is something that you need to concentrate only on behaviorism, so how they use it, not what they speak to you, how they use it. And you analyze them, you look at them very carefully, how they hold the mouse to where they look at on the screen, and so on and so on. So playtesting is different type of data, is also important. And my least favorite, and I actually don't like forums and reviews, but this is also a source that you can get data from. I don't like them because usually there is the sheep momentum, right? So in the forums, if you read negative comments, most likely you're gonna write a negative comment. This is what is happening there. So it's a momentum that everyone is affected by the other people's opinions. But forums also and reviews can give you some additional data that's important. So what you see is another example. So Volcanoids, they approach us with same problem, onboarding. And there was like, they didn't know what is happening there. So why the players actually don't get to the next stage to play the game. So the problem we identified was too much freedom in the onboarding. So there was basically putting like almost open world experience in the onboarding, which for me and for us, and we actually, like saw that backed with data, it's a problem because you have a learning curve and you need to teach your new users slowly and very focused. So that's why we changed that concept and we start, putting small bits of the game and increase this difficulty in learning, differences in learning. So how to say, like difficult level. And the idea was to not give them freedom because it's gonna be chaotic and also they don't know what to do there. So usually if you have this problem, try to rethink that and start from the beginning and create something that is like step-by-step experience. Combining the best of both worlds is crucial for, balancing everything. So the biggest problem in UI, and I will talk about level design as well, the biggest problem in UI is not well-distributed data between the screens. So content distribution is super crucial because first, people don't like to read and don't like to be pulled with information. So there is lots of games that they have this issue, especially with heavy screens like character customization, base building, or wherever. So they have these issues with putting so much in one screen, not making a system showing the information in pieces. And this can be applicable to every aspect of the game, so level design. So if you have like this balance between, let's say, easy gameplay, hard gameplay, etc., you probably are frustrating your players. So this is something that needs to be taken, again, in consideration. UX strategies for player engagement. So these guys are part of my team, amazing people. Very passionate, again, in UX and UI. What you see actually is one of our mobile games. But what I challenge them, my team, every day, is to think about how to make these experiences more fun. Because I will start with the second one, engagement and immersion. So just putting a static tutorial in your game is not enough. You need to engage them even in the tutorial level, right? So animated information, something that is, attracting their eyes. You need to basically navigate. You're the tutor. You're the guy the guys who are actually leading them into this thing, and you can basically put lots of, focal points, lots of interesting narratives, even in the tutorial, something to engage them to. From the first impression to go dive into the game. So optimizing onboarding, we already talked about that. And collecting, of course, feedback in every stage. Again, I'm emphasizing on that because this is super important, especially on onboardings. Onboardings are your gate to the players to play the game. So this is, you always needs to put effort there. And the The next thing is another example, of course. This was co-op manager, football co-op manager for Go Play games, right? So this is very heavy data UI. This is exactly what I saw before. So their problem was putting information heavily in a single screens without dividing this information into chunks, logical chunks. And the biggest problem they have is separating the interactive elements from non-interactive elements, which is usually in the UI super confusing when your buttons are looking like your headlines and so on and so on, and people doesn't know where to click and need to export that. So on the left is our rework. We actually did a component system there that was really, you know what is button and what is a text field. And the biggest problem there was all about the football players, right? So you are a football manager, means that you needs to see your player, statistics and everything. If you see on the right, there is no players, right? So you don't see the football player there. So we try to surround all the information around this Christopher A guy or the football players in order to put this also fan fact. Second one. So we are big fans of making subtle changes in the UIs, especially when the game is live. If you have a live game, be very careful what to introduce as a new feature, because what we saw is exactly massive takeoff of players from you drastically change an interface or change a feature into the game. I am giving you a Facebook as an example, because Facebook, they have really good policy of introducing new stuff. It's terrible interface, yes, but if you are used to, changing in small bits is the way you need to go. So what you see there is actually one game that was a racing simulator. And what we did was introducing to the players, of course, this approach, but I'm showing you a different thing. I'm showing you a small changes in the menus in a cross-platform project, because this was a game that was across consoles, across mobile and browser as well. And what we did there was on the top, actually, this is the mobile version. You see it's very similar, right? On the bottom is the console version. So what is the difference? The difference is in the console and PC screen, you don't touch the screen, right? So it's all the selections are through mouse and keyboard. And usually the majority of people, we are reading into letter F, which is from left to right, top to bottom. And these are the focal points of putting important information or menus. So we put this menu of selection the cars, customizing the cars on the left. In mobile, you have different scenario. You play, especially in landscape, you play with both hands. And you usually, for the right-handed people, which are, again, majority, you're covering the right area easily with your right thumb. So we just put the menu on right. So these are subtle changes, again, not in the same concept of, like introducing to the same players, but still can be applicable for every decision you do. And if you have especially cross-platforming projects, you need to be careful to have a resemblance between the interfaces, because nowadays players, they play in different, again, environment. They can play the game at home, after that on a mobile, plug the mobile to TV, and so on and so on. So how you monetize? We already checked. So this is John. John is happy player, very spending one in the game. So the concept is very simple. The concept is you need to turn players into spending players. And the math is, if you have players that stay more in the game, enjoy more in the game, so you put the fun factor and introduce the fun factor to them more often, these guys are becoming loyal players, right? Loyal players are spending players. So what you see there is the three pivots of actually how you can achieve that. User-centric design, of course, every decision, every feature. So you put basically the needs and the desires of your players before your, let's say, feature goals. So this is what you build the features to this data that you get there. But value for money is something that people forget. So we are huge fans of ethic way of making money in the games. So giving you an example, back in the days, the mobile, especially monetizing through advertisings and ads in the game, there was hiding the close button, right? So intentionally hiding the close button. This is unethical for me. And this is the way that, what actually happened, the players was also, like frustrated because you tried to trick them. And they was like putting the phone away to not watch that. So the purpose is not there. Of course, there was monetizing in the time that you spent on the ad. So this is unethical. If you have this thinking, like, okay, so we're gonna trick our players like with pay-to-win, situations, etc., probably it's a good idea to think about the way that you give them value instead in the game. So if they buy something, really to mean something for them, to enrich their gameplay. And listen to your community and the competitors' community as well. It's very important, by the way, so much data you can get from the competitors' communities. Like, this is your competitive advantage, actually, if you look at the community of your competitors. So, another example from our work. So this is a gamification, it's not a game. Actually, the XR director of Uncharted, he created this business, which is very successful at the moment. So this is what they do is you can customize miniatures, which they physically printed for, like 3D printed for you, and send it over for your D&D game. It's a massive editor. You can actually create lots of interesting stuff there. So when they approached us, they was on a Kickstarter level, and their goal was, I think, 100,000 euro. They actually get 3 million from the campaign. We helped them a lot with lots of stuff, but we concentrated on the shop experience, on the cart experience, right? So all the funnel, how to get to the point to buy actually the figurine, and they make profit of it. So their problem was too much, again, information, and they was blocking the process of buying with confirmation pop-ups and different, confirmation stages, which we removed. We saw that, we removed that, and voila, you have like really easy to buy step. So this is also something that you need to concentrate on, is your importance. So what is the important for your business? What is the important feature in your business, and how to make this very easy for the user to achieve your goals, but also they use this feature. Can be monetization through in-app purchases, can be other stuff, but this is something that is super important. So let's conclude. User-centered design, I hope I make you, think about this as a concept and construct. It's prioritizing the needs of your users and built around them. It's crucial for player satisfaction, obviously, and this leads to higher revenues. And of course, talking with your users and players is most crucial, because this conversation needs to be on a daily basis even. These are the materials you can check. So I don't know what they, so my guys, they put LinkedIn, but this is, if you click on this, because interactive PDF, by the way, I will put it probably somewhere, it's leading to an article, actually. So it's our mistake there. We are not advertising LinkedIn. And I think Q&A time. Very short presentation, huh?
So do we have any questions?
Don't be shy.
Don't be shy.
Making money is fun. And spending money as well.
Okay, if not, I think you can catch Sergey later. And thank you for your speech.
Thank you, guys.